Welcome to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. If you haven't seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement, give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a TV show, and that TV show is Loki, streaming exclusively on Disney++. Here to discuss, as always, the triple threat, Chris Trio.
Gooch, how are you?
I'm good, man. Happy weekend.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, we usually record on Sundays, so every Sunday's a happy Sunday.
We've been irregularly recording. So
That's true. I mean, I feel like
Sundays.
most Sundays we've still been doing stuff, but then we'll sprinkle some in throughout the week too.
We're doing a lot more than we usually do. So I feel like that's why we're not.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I feel like though we still have been usually we don't usually live stream Sundays necessarily all the time anymore. Because most of the time when we're doing a review, we do live stream.
I mean, the
not all the time, of course.
Well,
but
there's only two podcasts we record that we are live streaming: the hot takes and the
that's true,
and the
regular
monthly
pods,
podcasts.
Yeah.
And then we're not live streaming rewind reviews or the Halo stuff.
Yeah, so
yeah,
we've still been recording pretty regularly, just not live streaming.
Yeah, of
but
course.
So Loki,
MCU show number 3.
Number Trace.
You can check out our reviews for WandaVision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier as
absolutely,
well.
they're up right now.
Podcast
Gooch.
service, YouTube.
All that good stuff. I love it. Top level thoughts. What did you? How did you like, dislike, enjoy, whatever?
I was surprised. Obviously, I know you know this, but for those who don't know on the podcast, I'm not a big fan of Loki. And when I heard initially we're gonna get a Loki show, I was so not about it. And I was like, this is totally just because people like Tom Hiddleston. He has star power at this point in the MCU, and they're just bringing him back again to make money off of his character.
Sure.
Which, even at the end of this, that's still what they're doing. But I think I liked the story a lot. I was pleasantly surprised with the ending of it and like just the story beats in general. I think they handled Loki as a character like much differently than they have in the past. They really kind of threw everything they had about Loki in the trash and were like, all right, like use that as a base in a way, and we're just gonna make a new character. Like that's really what they did. Like none of Loki in the show is really the old Loki. They use it as a base, but they don't really. Like, they quickly discard that.
It's funny because I disagree. I think they just give you the same Loki again. And that's the one thing I didn't like. The one thing I didn't necessarily love about it was I feel like his character development back to the Loki that I feel like we kind of see by the time he gets to Infinity War is kind of the same Loki we're dealing with. Or at least it seems like it. I don't know. That's kind of one of my dislikes. But I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. What else were you liking?
And again, we have 3-4 episodes to develop him to this point.
Sure.
Whereas the movie, we have 2 hours to do it, but also I feel like a movie, the progression of characters between a show and a movie are just different.
And we are also we got to remember we're talking about the Loki from post Avengers 1.
Right. We already know Loki.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And but like it's funny cuz like that's I guess the thing that I didn't love. I felt like we jumped from the Loki in Avengers that was saying he's going to flay people alive and like do some pretty gruesome things and he's ripping people's eyes out. To like in a week, he's very much the Loki I feel like we see in Infinity War and the more altruistic Loki.
And I think
that was a quick jump, and that's what I didn't necessarily love.
And I think you really, I mean, you know why that's obvious,
of course.
Right? Like it, but there's nothing. I think there's nothing they can do about that. I don't think
there necessarily is either.
Yeah,
that's my one
just
big gripe.
Deal with it.
But yeah, absolutely. And
I do get it. You're right. He does go from Avengers 1 Loki to post Infinity War Loki.
That's what it feels like. Yeah, and I guess they kind of do it in a way that makes sense within the show, but it's definitely like a let's just pump this character full of all this exposition so that way he's kind of aware.
In the first episode, we gotta get it in and get out.
It, and then kind of get us a little caught up. And like I said, I wasn't necessarily in the same vein as you. I heard this show was being made. I was like, I do like Tom Hiddleston as Loki. This could be a fun romp through time, whatever. I'm in. I want to see Tom Hiddleston Loki about with Owen Wilson, who is also great in the show. I really loved Mobius in the show a lot. And yeah, so I was semi excited, but I was truly by the end of the show blown away. Like I think I tweeted it. This is probably one of the top MCU things I've seen in a while, and maybe just because I feel like I don't know. they do so many things with the universe in this, and when you talk about something that matters in the greater universe, like you want it to matter, I think you can't get much more of mattering than the end of this show, and that's what I think I like a lot.
I think what this show has definitely solidified is Phase 4 is multiverse.
It's so funny.
It's being set up like all too well, but they never really projected it as such.
So, yeah, no, I agree.
Like, I don't think I think with WandaVision does some things
interestingly,
but like doesn't really pay it off. And then I guess like there's also
with Ralph Boner.
The thoughts of, Spider-Man being a multiverse movie and Multiverse of Madness coming out, the Doctor Strange sequel. And now there's just like a ton of multiverse stuff being rumored / set up.
And it seems like everything's just folding in or like falling into place to show that, or not
say,
everything.
I wouldn't say falling into place necessarily. I would just say like the base is being established.
Absolutely, like how this works.
What will come and introducing the multiverse on a grander level, not just like people talking about it in theories.
Sure. No, exactly. They're setting their rules. They're like in this to a degree. Yeah.
Whatever.
And I mean, I just saw like something like
mean.
Something that Kevin Feige apparently just said, like they had a big meeting at Marvel kind of discussing the ground rules of this.
Was that one headline?
Which one?
I don't know. I think you're gonna say it.
Oh no, it was like we had a meeting to like just discuss the rules of like what, like, because that does make sense. If you have all these writers working on different things, you want to talk about things that you can't necessarily touch. But I see what you're saying too in the way if it's a multiverse, it's ever expanding. You could touch one universe and fuck it up, and then not really even worry about it later and be like, that's a different universe. But no, I think you need those ground rules, and it's interesting how they're using the multiverse as like, they are different dimensions, but they're different times stacked on top of each other, right? Like that's the kind of explanation we get at the beginning of the show. Like there were all of these timelines that were going crazy, and then the time gods, the lizard men, were able to come in and then kind of put it all together. So it seems like rather than, I guess it is a separate universe, but it's also a separate timeline. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I just lost Gooch halfway through that, and it's okay.
I hate talking about time stuff.
It does get a little bogged down.
It's a little
much. So, what did you think? Go ahead. Sorry.
Or real quick,
yeah.
I just want to say, like Hulk explaining like the time travel in Endgame, it doesn't make any sense. Like I've listened to that line. He's like, and now your future self can't affect the past. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Where
I know it's
like that doesn't make any sense at all.
Well,
like I'm not sure I've ever heard time travel explained like that.
The way I understood that was you go back in time, you don't affect the time that you're in. You are creating a splinter reality that is affected.
Right, but like you're still from the original timeline
that you can somehow travel to through the micro universe or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't. Again, time travel. Whenever you get into stuff in the movies, it's very sticky and icky, and you can really kind of get bogged down. And I don't think they get too bogged down in this show very much with that type of thing. But what did you think about the TVA?
TVA was all right. I don't have too much an opinion about it. I
really love the aesthetics and just the kind of whole looks of the TVA.
Yeah, the aesthetic doesn't do too much for me.
Sure.
Like I like it, but I'm not like all about it.
Sure.
I guess. It obviously has that, like that
weird like bureaucracy.
Well,
from
that
the
50s. And like like the Fallout vibe with
absolutely
like the vault tech and stuff. It has that kind of aesthetic to it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much. We don't really see a lot of the TVA. I think we see enough, but like we really don't. Like it just feels like it's like a thing at this point. Like it's like an organization, but like is it though?
So the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, is around to stop variants from fucking up the sacred timeline. And they do so without ranged weapons, which still blows my mind. And I'm sorry, I don't get a gun. I don't know what we're doing. They have to walk up and touch someone with a pole, and that prunes them, which I like that word a lot too. I love the lingo in this show.
Yeah, they do have a lot of
up around that.
It's a lot of, you know what it reminds you of? It reminds you of like anything Kojima does. He's got a lot of like terminology.
Absolutely.
For shit. Like, even though like prune isn't necessarily like
a new word or anything,
right?
Yeah.
Like you can like kind of surmise what that means, but
absolutely.
with like Kojima, it's like, what's a repatriate?
It's like Jesus Christ, let's get into it.
Yeah, like all these acronyms and shit. It's so
absolutely.
Funny.
And yeah, no, I thought Mobius was great. Like I said, I thought that kind of dynamic between him and Loki was so much fun. And when they weren't together, I was actually a bit disappointed. I think they could have cut an episode out of this, personally.
Really?
I think one episode in particular felt incredibly fillery.
Three?
Yes. The one
Yeah.
where they're on the planet.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I felt like that could have been maybe combined with the next one, and we could have just had a nice even 5. But overall, this felt like just a 6-hour movie to me.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
You can tell the way it's shot was not shot like a show.
It feels MCU.
I think WandaVision was shot like a show, for obvious reasons. And then
Sure.
Falcon the Winter Soldier also feels like a show. Loki does not feel like a show.
No, it's just there's a lot of spectacle going on, and there's so many cool environments, and just I like that they weren't afraid to use a lot of color in the show, and they were kind of really going big.
Speaking of color, this show is way too dark.
Do you think so?
Watching it with the fluorescence on in my basement,
Well, but-
I can barely see a fucking thing.
Why are you watching it with your fluorescence on?
Because I do.
Fair enough. You should be able to watch it with those on, but I guess
But like
I didn't
I'm
notice
watching,
anything
like,
major.
I get what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, all right,
That's not optimal way to view a TV, I'd say.
sure, but like, you know, like shit, I shouldn't be able to like not see.
No, that's
anything.
I can't
and I
believe that was
understand
happening.
some things are too dark. Like I was playing Final Fantasy VII just before recording this, and I'm not having an issue seeing anything. And then you're in like a dark building,
And
like,
it's
it's
pitch
fine.
black. Yeah,
but
really?
and like Invincible, full of color, had no issue seeing that. And I'm watching Loki, and I'm like, I can't fucking see
Interesting.
anything.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
I'm
on
like,
mine.
why is everything so dark?
Huh. That's annoying though, because I've been there.
I'm like,
and it's
all right,
I
shut
can't
these
see
off.
what's going on.
Turn
yeah.
the light on that's over there. I'm like, all right.
That's
like,
annoying though, because
yeah.
like when that
I
truly
didn't-
impacts
it was,
the
I
experience.
was just like, this is edited to be like this. I'm like, this, like,
It's so weird because I'm wondering
coloring, they
if
did
anyone
something
else
with the
saw
coloring.
that. Let me know, because like I said, I feel like I usually do watch in a pretty dark environment though, so I don't really maybe I didn't
yeah,
notice.
I mean, it depends on
but
what I'm
like
watching.
no, I didn't really notice it. But
Yeah.
that's interesting to see. Yeah, I don't know. I really think even the extra characters in this, like, I don't necessarily remember their names, but I remember what they did, and I remember the one
like the
security guard, the
TVA
TVA security guard, and
agents,
then
or
what's
what are they
what's
called?
the main lady? I can't remember her name. It's a weird name.
Renslayer.
Renslayer, yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting and weird name. She's apparently a big comic book character I didn't know about. Again, I will say they're touching a lot of things in this show that even me as a comic book reader, I did not dive into at all. Like, I heard it was kind of coming out, and I kind of let it alone, and I felt like I was pretty surprised at some points, or at least not like, oh, I know what she's going to be, or I know what's coming up here, or like,
And they're
you know
also
what I
not
mean?
doing like a specific comic book storyline.
No, they aren't. They
So,
definitely are. Like,
There's not. It's not like Winter Soldier. It's like, all right, let's look at Winter Soldier.
But even
You
is
know?
that really even similar to the actual? Besides, obviously, I know like Bucky coming back is the big
No,
thing. But like,
Marvel's.
they usually just use even Civil War. Like that's not really
It's
the
funny
same.
how little they adapt comics.
I
in
think
terms
it's
of
tough
things.
to like directly adapt. Like I think there are some out there you can directly adapt, and I don't know why they haven't. But I think it is good to make some changes, and there are. I feel like Civil War can still be classified in that comic, while it's not the exact same
Right,
story.
but they're taking.
But they're
from,
definitely taking liberties. Absolutely.
right from the comic. What'd you think of Sylvie?
I liked her a lot. I wasn't like blown away by her by the end.
When she first got introduced, I'm like,
I think her setup is good. I think like why the reasons
Sure.
for what she's trying to do is very interesting. And I mean, when you're discovering all this stuff about the TVA, which is basically an organization that halts all free will. Like you have free will, I guess, in your day-to-day life. But like if you make a wrong
guess.
move that like is really gonna make, I guess like it's not gonna matter if you're Joe Schmo living on the street and you don't have coffee that day instead of tea or something like that. But if you're Loki and you get away from the battle when you're not supposed to, they come in and take you right up, and there's barely any. My favorite thing is when he's going through the first. I really like the opening episode when he's kind of going into the TVA for the first time, and they're running him through the thing, and he gets to the thing, and he's like, "Walk through this." He's like, "What'll happen?" He's like, "If you're a robot, you'll explode." He's like, "What if I am a robot?" He's like, "Step the fuck through." Like I don't know. I thought that whole scene and just rundown was a lot of fun. I thought the writing in this was especially very strong. I don't know about you.
yeah. I don't think I like. I don't think I was ever in love with any part of the show, but I enjoyed it. I think if anything, the ending kind of jazzed me up a little bit because I
Absolutely.
started theorizing, and I'm like, okay,
We're getting into some cool stuff,
This is
yeah.
cool. I'm like, this could go a lot of different directions. They didn't like label anything in a certain way, and eventually we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
But Sylvie was interesting in the way she kind of turned up. Because I was talking like, okay, like is she like she's Loki? She is
a variant of Loki. That's
right.
Yeah,
She's she's a multiverse Loki. And I was like, all right, are they doing like Enchantress? Like,
which I'm glad. It's so funny. It was so funny seeing those the theories start coming up again. And I was like, I'm just gonna wait. I don't even want to start looking into Enchantress. Apparently, there's been a version of her in the like Agents of Shield or something.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. I feel was that you who told me? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along with Sif. Yeah. Who returns in this
to just kick Loki in the balls a few times.
Yeah, I was cool. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, I like how they brought
questions
Sif
about that
back.
time prison. So you have to. So they put Loki in this time prison where he just keeps reliving this experience, but he can apparently change it. And it's just this experience where I guess he cut off Sif's hair and then she kicked him in the balls every time, and it's just supposed to torture you. But there's some times where he doesn't. He gets by. My logistical analytics, Gooch, we're going off the rails. But it was still funny. I like that scene a lot.
It's kind of like the idea that like everything Loki does is sort of like a loop.
Absolutely.
Like even his character arc, and I mean that's the way like Loki is with Ragnarok. Ragnarok
Absolutely.
itself is a loop.
Yep.
So they kind of it's funny how I don't know if they wrote Loki like that on purpose. I would imagine maybe
I
they
feel
did.
like I mean,
but like it's been handed through different directors and different writers. I'm kind of like. Maybe it was just a coincidence.
Maybe, but I also do think Tom Hiddleston really does care for this character, and kind of seems like, and like seems to like have a really kind of heavy hand in how, and like even there's one part in this where he's like singing like a Nordic song, which I thought was right. I think it's like before he like smashes the glass. Like a lot of cool things to touch back to those kind of roots that I feel like are really well done, and I thought it was cool to see his name on the producing credits and stuff like that. And like
he's at that point,
he is, and like I'm seeing like all these behind the scenes stories where they're just like, if you go to him about anything, he knows it all, and like he seems to genuinely care about what's going on with this character, and that makes me, I feel like, enjoy the show that much more even, which is really cool. But Gooch, do you want to start getting into some spoilers?
Sure.
All right, guys, spoilers coming at you as of now. If you haven't seen Loki, I'd say check it out. Gooch,
obviously,
do it, and then come back and listen to the spoilerific talk we're about to give. All right, Gooch. I'm trying to think what we can touch. I don't want to go straight for the balls. with the end.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a lot.
One thing I was a little disappointed with was those two episodes I was talking. The one that felt like filler, and then the second one, even when they go in with all the Loki variants. I kind of wanted them to go a little bit even further. I wanted to see some other character variants or something like that. I felt like there was.
See, I think that's a line you either cross or you don't. And
I don't like. I mean, you do see Throg, of course, the Thor Frog, which for like a second.
Like speaking of the Loki variants, it's like I feel like people started like. I don't fucking think you're getting the kid Loki from this show into Young Avengers. Like I
didn't see anything about that.
Oh, dude, I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm like,
I agree.
Who thinks that's gonna happen?
I don't think that makes sense.
I really don't think they're gonna do that. Like, I'm like, I don't know why how are they gonna get him?
No, I know. Well, that's the exactly.
like, what is that?
I mean, it's like the multiversal thing, but like,
right? Like they're not gonna start pulling like.
No, I agree. I don't think that's too. But like,
and I was like, okay, like these Loki variants are cool. We kind of got the classic Loki.
Richard E. Grant was awesome. And then you just got Kid Loki who killed Thor, which I thought was a good.
Yeah,
I saw like a TikTok which was funny, and it was like. It was the scene from Thor Ragnarok when he's talking about like he's like, yes, there was one time when I was young and Loki transformed into a snake and he knows I like snakes and I went in and pet him and then he transformed back and stabbed me in the neck and then like and it seems to be like what that's alluding to, like he actually killed him there. But then you got Richard E. Grant as classic Loki. He looked awesome.
Yeah,
like that really did tickle my fancy.
That's your golden age.
It really the classic thing. Jack Kirby with the big horns, the green. I thought it was funny. He's like, I look like Kermit the Frog. I was like, it's true, but it's still so great. And then
and then the who's the black guy?
He's like boastful Loki or something,
whatever.
Which
that
is like
is.
I guess he's from a comic. He's from like a comic book. Like I don't think he's black in the comic books. I think he just looks different. But like that, I think that actually is like a
right. I saw the panel where they all got pulled from. I think it was not Tom King. Tom King retweeted it, but yeah, like this artist is like they literally took all the Lokis I did for this comic. I was like, that's cool. The alligator, the mayor one, who I didn't.
That's the president one, President Loki. He's in like that's a whole nother storyline.
I know it, but like I was kind of confused as to what he was in the show.
Absolutely,
I was just like he's just there.
I think he's just showing up. And then again, I thought there was a little bit of cool like themes put forth in the way of like he's like, God, we're all pieces of shit. Like we all just are just going to turn on each other. We're not going to get anything done. And I do think there you start getting into cool character development for Loki and some more interesting things. I kind of half thought for an episode we were just going to get Sylvie when he got pruned, until you got the after credit scene where he kind of wakes up in the pruned area with all the people.
Yeah,
but and then I thought he was going to come back. But what'd you think of the? I feel like a lot of people, including me, I felt like kind of thought that was going to happen. But what happened with the timekeepers, like being revealed to be basically? Like, did you feel like you saw that coming, or were you kind of
not necessarily?
I love that we saw them. I will say that.
Yeah, I was like, okay, like the timekeepers may exist, but like there's probably someone behind them.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were like totally
like
fake.
animatronics. Yeah,
Right.
I thought
That
it was so cool.
It was kind of interesting how they went to like not the lengths, but like it's interesting that like that's the way they presented it. It's like they were real, but they're fucking robots.
No, they Wizard of Oz'd it. Really,
Yeah.
like it was. I thought that was interesting, and I was sitting there. I'm like,
Androids, aliens, and wizards.
can't do any better than that. But yeah, no, I thought that whole scene was really cool. The way he walks in, the way they walk in, it's like this smoke-filled chamber with like the red like neon behind them, and they're all sitting in their thrones and like, you have destroyed the sacred. Really cool.
I
stuff.
had to put on the subtitles for that. The one I couldn't understand a word he was saying. I was like, I'm gonna rewind and put on subtitles.
Interesting.
The last one who talks.
With like the mustache kind of.
I think so. I'm like, I can't hear a word. I don't know what you're saying, dude.
Did you?
It's like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Say again.
Sorry. Speak up. Speak up in the mic.
Sir. Hello.
Did you when that happened, when the head gets cut off? Did you read that as Renslayer knew that they were fake or did not? Okay,
No,
that's what I thought.
I don't think she's in the
I
loop
think
at all.
I didn't think she was. And
don't
then
think
that's
any
I feel
of
like
them are.
confirmed through later.
Yeah, it's interesting that the time variance authority is all variants, but like they're not really variants. They're just like what is a variant? Like
So-
it just sounds like the time, like He Who Remains. It sounds like he just kind of made it up.
Well,
almost.
no. Well, so I mean, we can start getting into that. The reason that I think the sacred timeline exists and that he prunes all the other ones, and I think he explains this obviously, is because those other ones will lead to a certain cataclysmic possibility of something returning. You know what? We'll talk more. I don't want to give it
or
right
the
away.
like multiversal
First,
war.
like multiversal war,
Which seems to-
that does seem to be real,
Right.
Like so, there's like a part, like again, there's a nugget of truth in this story that the timekeeper's given, but there's a layer that's left out for the general TVA. They really just think it's these mystical lizard men who were like just did this out of the kindness of their heart.
Where are you getting the lizard men? Are
I mean,
they
they're-
lizards?
Yeah, they're like lizard people. They're big like
I don't know,
space
they
aliens.
just look like aliens.
Doesn't he say it? And like he's like big lizard. I thought he like. literally
I
calls
think he
them-
says it, but I didn't take it as anything more than him just making fun of it.
Oh no, I know, but they just look like big lizard people to me.
Okay.
I guess that's why I
Sure.
just took it. Yeah, but yeah. So again, I thought that whole way they revealed that was very interesting, and it was interesting to me that what's her name again? The bad girl, or not the
Ravonna
bad.
Renslayer.
Renslayer is like she's like nah. Like I think she's just so deep in it, she doesn't even care. She's just like no, I'm
Right.
committed.
Right.
Like we've been doing this for eons. She's saying like, which is I don't even know how long that is. I know that's a long time, but like. It's just been in perpetuity of them just living this life and doing this, and they've been taken from other, basically defunct realities that were gonna go off into a tangent that was not part of the sacred timeline. And I thought that was a really cool and interesting reveal, like you're saying. But do we want to get? I'm trying to think if there's anything else before the big thing at the end.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the same. We didn't talk about Mobius too much. Mobius was cool, but like I guess there's really not too much
There's
to say.
not. He's kind of a seasoned TVA operative who's on this case with to take down a Loki variant
or take down Loki.
Yeah,
Right.
well, a variant of Loki.
Right, but he's done it before.
Yeah, exactly. And,
Right,
that's,
so
and
it's
I do
not the-
like how they even reveal that.
And
She's-
even with Ravona's the one who prunes Sylvie
who
and
try-
like
or attempts to, yeah.
Yeah, right. Doesn't prune her, attempts to, and she gets away as a kid. That actress, by the way, is in Walking Dead.
Oh, is she? Who she
plays
play?
Judith Grimes,
Interesting.
the older Judith Grimes.
When does she? Really?
Yeah,
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
yeah. So yeah,
interesting.
after she,
Like his daughter?
yeah.
How
the
long in the
baby.
future is it?
They jump 5 years at one point. After Whisperer War, it's a 5-year jump.
Oh.
So she grows up.
And how old is she in the show?
The actor or Judith?
The Judith.
I think she's got to be under 10.
Oh wow. But that's the same actor who plays. Oh. You're talking about the young. I thought you were talking about Renslayer. I'm like,
No.
What?
The young Sylvie.
No, that makes more sense.
Yeah, and then that's where you get Sylvie's motivations for wanting to take down the TVA.
Yeah,
which
so
is,
she was
in her life's
but
mission.
again, you don't really get like she did something
like
wrong.
what has she been doing this whole time?
But that too. But
Like it's been like
but you get a
20
flashback
years.
of when she's taking it in like as a child, and like I'm curious as to what the reason, what her variant was. Was it that she was just a girl and like Loki's supposed to be like present as the man, like a man, like they
See,
don't really.
that's
like,
my question. Like what dictates variancy?
well, but so.
And
But
I mean,
that's-
for Loki,
I
we
think-
kind of get
but
it.
That's the thing. I think there are clear. Like that's the only one that I feel like is not clear. Like whereas I'm trying to think of other like things that they like it'll be like someone goes back in time and uses a weapon that's not supposed to be used at that time.
Well, even think about it now. It's like, okay, like when the Avengers went back, like Loki was like, the Avengers came back into my timeline. Like, why are they pruned? It's like they were supposed to do that, and it's like.
But
what?
again, that comes down to the whole thing. If you
Like, really?
but that's the plan of the time. That's the one that's supposed to get them the optimal timeline. That's the
Sure.
change. That's I guess how they. That's at least how I took how they were explaining it. That's because she goes, well, they were supposed to do that because that's the idea. I think
Well,
the whole
and
thing
then
is
that's
planned
going
out.
back to the conversation. Has Steve Rogers just been living a normal life this whole time, and there's been another version of Steve Rogers who's Captain America?
So that's the other, and again, we don't get a really like. I think the screenwriter and the directors have said two different things on that, which is great. But
yeah, it's just like,
so
the
I don't know.
more you think about that kind of shit, the
see,
like,
but
the
with the
harder
way
it
that they've
gets to-
set it up like this, the way they've explained it, then to me that would mean that Steve went back and lived with her in their same timeline and just kept his head down. Because he would have caused a branch reality then. If he didn't, and they would have had to prune that, unless that branch reality is part of the sacred timeline. So that's the other thing. You're right. It gets kind of mind-boggling and confusing, but
So let's talk about the end.
He Who Remains. This whole last episode was awesome. I think, in my opinion, I felt like it was amazing.
I enjoyed it. I was on the edge of my seat pretty
I
much
really
the
was,
entire
too.
time because I was like, oh shit,
Like, it's
because like
going
for a
down.
while I was like, we even said it. It's going to be another variant of Loki.
That was my
like
my
I
assumption.
think I could have been it, and I would have been like, okay. And then the other possibility was the possibility of Kang the Conqueror, and we knew Jonathan Majors was casted as him, but for what we didn't really know.
Well, we knew he was in. The only thing he was announced for was Quantumania, like the Ant-Man movie. That's what he was cast in as Kang.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so-
I maybe I knew he was going to be in that, but I maybe I didn't read it as the casting was him in that movie just in general. But that makes sense. Yeah. So we get
a version of Kang.
Here's my theory.
Okay.
I'll lay it down. I've been seeing a lot going around, and I kind of
There's also a. Sorry.
I
Continue.
kind of did my
Due diligence?
I took my research and I crossed the T's and dotted the I's, and here's what I'm coming down to. So in the comics, Kang the Conqueror is a Thanos level villain, but for the multiverse.
I mean, I think they do a pretty good job of explaining. Like, isn't that pretty accurate what they show in the show?
Yes,
For the most part, yeah.
And there's a council of Kangs and stuff,
like a council of Ricks.
right? And a council of
Then there's like
Reed
the
Richards.
Yeah.
Which is getting into my theory. I think the version. So there's a bunch of different versions of Kang the Conqueror. Kang the Conqueror is like the ultimate evil version of
Kang of this
Nathaniel
Richards.
Richards.
Yeah.
I think Nathaniel Richards is a descendant of Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four. I think this version of Nathaniel Richards is in fact the prime version of Nathaniel Richards, a person who doesn't, no moniker, no Kang, no Conqueror, no Mortis, nothing.
No.
He's to the point where his name doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it really doesn't.
He is He Who Remains. Yeah.
Right. But he is Nathaniel Richards.
Yep.
He is the person who he's the scientist who explains at the beginning. That's who
He
he
doesn't
is.
say his name though, right?
No, not
I didn't
once.
think
There's
so.
no
Yeah.
Kang. He
There's
says
no-
the Conqueror.
Yeah, he's like, I've been called the Conqueror. Like he's going
right.
through all those things.
So
yeah.
he alludes to the fact that there are multiverse versions of him, which is obvious.
Well, I mean,
obvious
he
once
outright
gets into
says
it.
it when he's talking
Right.
about the multiverse war and all
Right.
that.
So
Yeah.
I think this is like our like neutral Nathaniel Richards like.
No, I
It
think
started
that's
with
definitely
him, and he doesn't turn into Kang or a Mortis or whoever you want to throw at. He is just himself, but like he's been in this position for so long that he's just kind of crazy.
Well, that's the thing. I think he's the nicest version of himself and I think he even kind of says this throughout that, like he's like, one of us, me, went through and basically stopped all these wars and created this main timeline that seemed to not create another one of him. that he is outside the timeline controlling this, and that is why he is keeping this sacred timeline going, because he knows if you let it go off, you'll get Kang the Conqueror, you'll get Immortus, like all these really bad versions of himself.
Immortus isn't bad.
He's like basically this version that we see in this. It's literally the exact same story almost. Like he tends the timeline and things like that.
I almost think that Immortus would be like I know what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of like onto it, but like I don't think
they'd ever say it, but I think it's just more of like they're taking inspiration from him, like as this version.
Yeah,
of Kang.
I don't know. Like I feel like Immortus would be more like knowing. I feel like this version is very
but he knows everything that's going on except until that point in which that he
but
lets
like
it go.
I think they portray him like they don't it's the way they portray him that I don't buy that he is Immortus necessarily.
I got you.
Because Immortus went, like he goes by that moniker. Like it's a little different of a scenario.
I get what you mean. I just think it's more of the same idea of like he is architecting this timeline. It's fucked up in the way of like, I mean, he's controlling all free will and stopping like freedom in a lot of ways, but he's doing it at the risk of basically multiversal peril forever and ever and ever. And it's interesting to see kind of Loki like realize this. He's like, I love the line where he's like, how do you know he's like, he's a lie. He's like, so am I. And I know he's not lying. Like, I thought that line was so good.
Yeah.
And
once Sylvie kind of like starts reacting, and then Loki reacts. Yeah, I thought that was like
it was
some
really
good prime moments there.
And I just, dude, him is what was his name? Who plays Kang? Who plays
Jonathan Majors?
He is awesome. Like truly, like he had me like locked in as soon as he came on. I think he did a very good job of just.
It looks like he's like on the toilet.
No, when he's sitting up on the.
Yeah, like what is it? What's that room?
I don't know. He's just hanging out. But this idea of like he's programmed this. I guess his original. He has the original time, whatever that disc is that he was using to control time. What are those things called again? The temp pads. It's like seems like the earliest version of it that lets him travel through all of these different timelines.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting.
Which goes into Sylvie pushes him into another timeline.
Who, Loki?
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's what. Well,
I don't think she changes it. Well, she does in.
No, I think she pushed him into either the main timeline. I think she pushed him back in time to the early days of the TVA, when Kang was ruling it with like an open face, and then after a while he started to put himself in this illusion of the timekeepers, because like they're talking like he's when he comes back, they're going like, how does he expect us to control all these branches? This is insane. I think this is an earlier time at the TVA where they are trying to just get all like it's restarting. Like he said, he's like, you'll see me again soon. And she says to Sylvie, like, if you kill me, I'll just be back. I'll restart. I'll be here in 1,000 million years, whatever it is. And I think that's kind of where Loki's at this point.
I took it as she put, like, at the end of the day, she pushed him into another timeline in which Kang
openly rules
the TVA.
He had his like Kang thing on too, if you noticed.
Yeah,
had,
I mean, not the head. Everything but the head.
Everything but the head. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Kang is going to be a long haul character.
I agree.
We're not going to we're going to get him in Quantumania as we pretty much know. Here's my big theory. So this is how they introduced the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four's main plot or a main arc will have something to do with Kang the Conqueror.
I think that would make sense.
If they go with Kang being Nathaniel Richards.
I think that would make 1,000% chance or sense. But I think that would be the coolest option too.
It's one of the different. It's not Doctor Doom right away, even though it's like, okay, like, do we introduce Doom like at some point in the beginning? Like, I think like
I can't wait until
like, how do you do Fantastic Four without Doom? Like right at the get go, like he has to be there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he is. That's the thing.
But is he Doom
yet? Maybe
or right away.
Or they set him up as the ruler of Latveria in that first, and he doesn't turn it. Like you think he's dead or whatever. Obviously, we know he's not.
Maybe.
And then
maybe
in the next movie,
away.
this leader of Latveria shows up. who started like, and then
Dude,
they're like, "What's going?"
If
Yeah,
they don't do Doctor Doom as an
I mean, they
Avengers
need to.
villain,
I
will be so mad.
I just cannot imagine they would.
I would be infuriated.
I would be too.
This version of Doom needs to be the Doctor Doom.
I agree,
Like it has to be.
and I have faith that it will. Truly, I think it will be. I'm not even a little bit afraid, but we'll see.
I feel like the Fantastic Four plays well into that multiversal stuff. Like that team kind of goes against those kind of threats, space threats, all sorts of things like that. So it wouldn't be too weird. Like I would even love to see Super Skrull as their first villain.
I think that would
like
be a good one.
I feel like that's a very like neutral character that like could be easily like Skrulls already exist, so it'd be easy to do that and also set up the Kang stuff in there somehow.
1000%, man. I think there's so much. This series set up so much potential, and I think it did so in a satisfying way that like satisfied the ending of the show. Like it wasn't leaving me wanting like, oh, you didn't close the book on the season
Right.
1 of Loki.
So like that's kind of goes into my thing. It's like Loki did what WandaVision didn't.
Yeah.
And Falcon and the Winter Soldier is truly its own thing.
It's just that's a Captain America
WandaVision
thing, yeah.
and Loki are very similar, but like Loki is a better show than WandaVision. WandaVision introduced so much and turned out to be so little. And it's like, okay, like now that we know Kang is a thing, what is Multiverse of Madness? You know, what is that movie going to be? Is it going to be involve Kang? I don't think so.
Well,
but I feel like it has to.
But I think it
has to
is. I think it's gonna touch at least not maybe mention him by name. Like
It has to involve him, but I don't think he's not going to be the villain of it. I think
No, I
it'll
don't
be
think so
a
either.
Doctor
I think
Strange
so,
villain.
too.
Because they don't want to rob Doctor
well, it's
Strange.
supposedly
of, like,
I think it's supposed to be
introducing-
like Nightmare or something, and then that's the
That's
rumor.
what
Yeah,
everyone
that's the
was
rumor.
throwing around.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I think there's so much potential rising from this. I mean, I don't want like I love WandaVision, and I really think that it does a good job in conveying this really cool story about Wanda and setting her up for where we need to in Doctor Strange. But I do think that this is just such a different beast, and just it tackles just the larger world and a much more poignant way. And I think right now, ranking wise of these series for me, it goes Loki, WandaVision, Captain.
I think
Winter Soldier.
I
Or Winter
think
Soldier
Falcon
and
the Winter Soldier, Loki, WandaVision.
Really? Falcon and Winter Soldier is at the top for you?
Yeah, I liked it.
Interesting.
See, but like I feel like I like Black Widow a lot. I feel like that's my Marvel jive.
Sure, it's a little bit more.
And I'm liking this multiversal stuff, but like the Flash stuff really gets my rocks off. But
Well,
I'm
it's
waiting.
funny how Marvel's doing it before DC, and DC talked about doing this multiverse movie for 4 years, and they've been stumbling getting people for the Flash and things
I
like
think
that.
the Flash will be out before they get to this.
No, I mean they've already done it. What do you mean? It's done. They have Loki just did it. They made a multiverse.
I mean, I disagree with you. The CW stuff has already done all this shit, but it's not.
I
a
know,
movie,
but it's not nearly.
But they are. They
CW's is not
did. They did
nearly
have
watched.
Ezra Miller.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's not. It doesn't get nearly as the same notoriety as like a Marvel show or movie, a CW show. It doesn't.
When it happened, I disagree.
No, I thought it was cool, but like the general audience that's going to see these Loki and that's going to watch this that isn't paying attention to that stuff. This is the first time they're hearing of the
Right, but these are
multiverse
two
idea.
different audiences. We can't act like they're the same thing.
No, they're the same. I mean, there's a major. There's an
I don't know.
incredible overlap, Gooch. Like,
Oh,
what do you- like, yeah,
I'm
like-
sure, but like, I don't think the people who are watching Loki are watching fucking the CW DC shows.
I don't know. I agree to disagree.
I feel like there's
feel-
I think there's a DC diehard fan base, and then there's the Marvel.
Well, no,
people.
that's absolute. I think that's absolutely true. I'm talking general mainstream audiences here that might watch these things. But man, anything else on Loki? I'm trying to think if we've missed.
I don't think
anything
we're gonna
major.
get the second season. Well, it is coming back for a second season,
but not for a year or two at least. I'd say.
I say 2 years, 2.5 years. I don't think we're gonna get. So I
don't
just,
think it's gonna be that
I just
long,
don't. I think they need to. Well, how are they gonna set up Kang stuff? I feel like they need to further things a little bit before season 2 comes out.
I think they start filming next year, and then
Okay.
and then holiday of next year.
Okay, I could see
I think
that happening.
I think that's definitely possible, but I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. So next up, we have What If. Which are they dropping that wholesale? Or
I don't think so. I think it's a week by week thing again.
That's
I think they
kinda
only
lame.
do week by weeks.
That's kind of lame.
I
For
agree
that
with something
show,
like that.
don't
I think you can
that's
drop
gonna-
all at once.
Yeah,
but they want to keep the hype going
I'm
every week.
interested to see what if turns out to be, but what is after that?
I
Can
don't
I
even know yet.
cancel my Disney Plus subscription for a little while? Because they've kind of kept us on track since
Book of
WandaVision.
Boba. I mean, again, not Marvel, but like you got Book of Boba Fett coming out after that.
Is it?
That comes out holiday this year. Yeah.
Fuckers.
And then
They got me.
No, exactly. We're Disney has it. They have me. I don't know what to tell them. I'm trying to think Marvel show-wise. I can't... well, I mean, Moon Knight's being filmed soon, or if it's being filmed.
No, it's not. Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
That show.
Yeah,
Hawkeye.
and then Hawkeye and that. And
That
then
has to be early
Miss
2022.
Marvel has been filming.
That too. But I guess I mean from like September to December.
I think we're just talking movies. What movie comes out next? Eternals, right? That comes out holiday.
No, Shang-Chi.
I'm sorry, Shang-Chi and Eternals this?
Yes.
Okay. So I think they're just kind of going to be like, just go to movies. Or they're going to drop it for the $30 on Disney Plus like they've been doing with everything else.
I hope they don't.
Dude, I think that's staying.
I don't.
I just don't see why they wouldn't keep it. They're making a bunch of
Because
unless it because I think
I don't think they're going to keep it.
all right, we'll see. I think they're too greedy to get rid of that personally. But well, I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, okay. So Book of Boba Fett is definitely this holiday.
Yes.
I'm not really interested in that, but obviously I'm going to watch it.
Psycho.
I just
Kidding. No, I know. I'm
never
totally joking.
I've never been a Boba Fett fan.
No, I agree. I mean, he's a complete moron in the first 3 movies.
But
so.
I also I'm also kind of like, what the fuck is this show even going to be?
Which show?
It's Book of Boba Fett.
What do you mean? What is it gonna be? It's a Boba Fett show.
I don't know.
What was Mandalorian gonna be?
Dude, it's not called Slave and One anymore.
What are you doing, Disney?
Nothing matters.
No one's paying attention to the Slave One ship name. I can't take it. Like, it's so ridiculous.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
Oh, did you buy Boba Fett's ship? God damn it. It's so ridiculous.
I can't get over
I
that.
can't either.
I
It's
can't
just
get
so
over that
ridiculous.
one.
Guys.
That one was like, all right.
And
Like, there's not even a fucking E in it.
they probably, I think they stopped selling, like, Slave Leia outfits, too.
That was what I was thinking of too. I'm like, Slave Leia, I could understand.
Sorta, yeah.
Them renaming that. That's
Yeah, no, I agree,
You know,
but,
like imprisoned
about a
Leia or enslaved.
I mean, it's like
using just another word, not slave, but everyone calls that costume Slave Leia.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then, like, even, like, Slave One, like... this terrible Boba Fett man who's killing people throughout the universe. We should really make his ship not named Slave One. That's kind of offensive. I don't really like no big deal.
Yeah, okay, but
Yeah, but Slave,
SLAV, no.
Get that shit out of here.
One.
I mean, he was probably transporting. Anyways, Gooch, is there anything else on Loki? I think we kind of covered everything. I feel like we're gonna finish this and then remember something big that we've missed, as it always goes.
I mean, we didn't talk about Ilgoth, which we don't really need to.
Which one's Ilgoth?
The big cloud monster.
Oh.
The big cloud monster.
Fuck, I forgot.
They did a
Big cloud monsters.
monster.
I haven't seen one of those since fucking Green Lantern. I was like, I texted the group chat. I'm like, man, it's great to be back in the era of big cloud monsters. I really missed them.
Dude, I was like, that is terrible.
I will say,
I don't know what that was supposed to be.
it's apparent that is a thing in the comics.
I know,
though, right?
but it was just like really
No, I know.
big cloud monster. Like,
Can we
that's
design
what
this a
needed
little
to
bit
do?
better? No,
Yeah.
I agree, but it did just make me chuckle a bit because I hadn't seen one in forever. I was like, oh man, haven't seen you in a good while.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
mean-
blue sky beams. If I saw one of them in this, I would have been like, whoa.
We don't go to any like locations that really I think needed like a conversation. Like
No.
we go to the future with like Roxcar, and it's like, all right, Roxxon. I love how Marvel MCU uses Roxxon so throwawayly.
They're they are in the comic books. Oh yeah, they're in Miles Morales, or they're
It's canon in the MCU.
Yeah, that's what I thought,
Agent
yeah.
Carter they do with Roxxon stuff, but I feel like Roxxon is just like a name they like plaster on things.
Well, I
when
think
they
it's an
need.
easy, just corporate entity you can
Right.
use that
It's
people
like
will
that we haven't
recognize.
really
Yeah.
done yet. Yeah, and then Roxxon has recently been
Yeah.
Miles Morales, but yeah, we're done.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for watching our Loki review. If you've been with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network, we really appreciate you hanging out with us. You can find this podcast everywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network. We are on all these social medias at Delco Nerds on them, as well as Facebook. We have a Facebook page. Search that up. We have an email, delconerds@gmail.com. You can email comments, questions, or concerns there. We also have a Discord, which is a lot of fun. We talk about a lot of fun things. We've been talking Loki lately, which has been a good time. Lots of great, fun people in there. I'm trying to think. I don't think I missed anything. You can find all this all this information on our website, DelcoNerdNetwork.com. For Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy, and we will see you next time.